What's good, people? It is Tony the Savant. And before we get started, please like the video, share the video, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping content and going live on the channel as well. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel as I drop content daily. Go live daily, stay very busy on the platform. And last but not least, please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section as I'm always intrigued to know what you all have to say about these topics. And ladies and gentlemen, we're getting started with some WNBA playoffs today. I know it's NFL Sunday, but we had to take a little time to show some respect to the ladies who have competed this entire season. I just want to start off real quick by saying this WNBA season was very exciting. Probably the most exciting WNBA season I've seen in my lifetime. You know, respectfully to the early era, the Houston Comets era, back when the New York Liberty was still, well, they're still dominant now, but, the old school Liberty squads that used to go to war with that Houston Comets team. I just wanted to, give the ladies their respect, man, because this was a very historic and exciting season for me personally. And I'm sure if you was watching the WNBA on a day-to-day basis like I was, you would share that opinion as well. But I just wanted to go over these matchups real quick as we are about an hour away. I think the Aces and I forget who has the first game on the slate today. Honestly, but I just want to go over these matchups real quick and discuss some things. The first matchup we're gonna discuss: New York Liberty, respectfully, versus the Phoenix. Are they going against the No, the Atlanta Dream. The Atlanta Dream. This is going to be a good game, man. Um, the Atlanta Dream for them. They've been in playoff mode the last 2 weeks. Battling for that number 8 seed with the Chicago Sky, and I forget who else there was in contention with for that spot, but they were able to seal their playoff fate. On the very last day of the WNBA season versus the New York Liberty happenstance, and they look impressive in that matchup. If that matchup has any indication of what the playoff series is going to look like, this is going to be a very close series. Now in the WNBA, it's the best of three, so there's that. They only need 2 games to advance to the next round. I think the Liberty, them being the number 1 seed, them also boasting the number 1 offense, as well as having 3 of the top easily 10 players in the WNBA. I think they should be able to get rid of the Dream very easily. Unfortunately for the Atlanta Dream, their defense has been a lot more consistent than their offense. So that's not good because the New York Liberty, they've gone up against the best. They've beaten every team I believe this season, at least once. So it's the matter of the fact that they can't figure it out. They're battle tested. Stewie is the MVP. Jonquil Jones, one of my favorite players. I call her the Kevin Durant of the W because her game is just that smooth and that technically sound. And of course, there's Sabrina Ionescu, who I liken to the Steph Curry of the league. I know everybody likes to bless Caitlin Clark with that honor, but really, if you've been watching on a day-to-day basis, it's hard to deny that Sabrina Ionescu is probably the best shooter, if not one of the best shooters in the WNBA. But respectfully, she's taken a step forward in her development. And so I'm just expecting the New York Liberty to dominate this matchup. On the Atlanta Dream side, Alicia Gray, she won the skills challenge as well as the 3-point challenge in the WNBA All Star Weekend. So that was very impressive. She is respectfully, she's a dog, in her right. Atlanta, I also have Tina Charles, the legend. She had been out of the WNBA since 2022. This is her first year returning, and she had herself a career year, averaging a double double this season, and as well, I think she set a career in rebounds. So Tina Charles looks back to form. The injuries of Jordan Canada and uh, what's my girl name? Hines. Ooh, I'm gonna draw with a blank. Let me look at her name real quick. It's Howard. I can't think of her first name for some reason. Boop, 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 boop. Can't believe I can't remember this young lady's name. It's on the tip of my head too. Howard. I can't think of her first name. I'm sorry, y'all, but she was injured as well, and so these two are returning, and they've returned since the Olympic break concluded, and since that point, the Atlanta Dream have looked better. You know, they started off the season 7-17, was able to play a lot better in the second half of the season. Um, Playing at least 500 basketball. But like I say, what I've been most impressed with the Atlanta Dream is the last week of the season, last week and a half. You know, when the stakes were at their highest. And like I said, they've been playing playoff basketball for at least that long, and so they'll come into this matchup prepared and understanding of what they have to do. But I got the New York Liberty sweeping this series 2-0, best of three series. So um, we'll see from that point on. I definitely got the New York Liberty. I got the Minnesota Lynx and the Connecticut Sun going to the finals, so it'll just be interesting how that happens. Even can that happen? Hold up. I know they got the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, but their seeding is a little different in the W. So, um, nonetheless, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe the New York Liberty will make it, but I definitely got the Lynx in the mix. I got the Lynx winning, actually. That just segues off into our next matchup, the Minnesota Lynx and the Phoenix Mercury. Just off the top, Phoenix Mercury, and they almost brought a little tear to my eye with how they really celebrated Diana Taurasi and potentially her final home game in the season finale. Just a mark of a generation. As long as Diana Taurasi has been around, I've been watching basketball. When she first came into the league, I was a young lad, and now I'm a full-grown man. So she's been one of those athletes that I've grown up with, and it definitely marks time. With Diana Taurasi possibly walking away from the game. She hasn't made any official announcements, but it's just the assumption right now. She's 42 years old and has played 20 years, 20 fantastic years. So kudos to DT. She's definitely been a great stateswoman for the game, way more so than LeBron James. I liken Diana Taurasi to more of Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba. Kobe even blessed her with the nickname White Mamba. So just kudos to her. But going into this matchup, I'm really watching for Kalia Copper and Brittany Griner, as those two have been essentially two of the more productive players for the season. And I'm really interested to see how they ball out. I think they could potentially get past the Minnesota Lynx, but the Minnesota Lynx with Nafisa Collier, the additions of Chicago Sky's Courtney Williams and Alana Smith, excuse me. Both of those players coming over from my team, I think has boded well for the Minnesota Lynx, giving them depth. The Lynx legitimately have 8 people that can score on their roster. So I think that's going to work in their favor. Of course, Nafisa Collier, hard to argue against her. I got her for my defensive player of the year. I think that's kind of like a consensus right now. But her leading the way, and of course I forget their coach name, but she was the coach of the Olympic team. So you definitely got to be on the hunt for that. I think the Lynx are the most poised to make a run. They've been the most consistent team in the W. And all things considered, I just feel like they're going to get past the Phoenix Mercury easily. The Mercury have a lot of aging stars, of course, DT and Brittany Griner, but Kalia Copper, man, on any given day, who's also formerly a member of the Chicago Sky, my Chicago Sky. Kalia Copper can get hot at any moment. She's on that same wavelength as Harika Agumbale and Kelsey Mitchell, just two players that, they can have a very low volume first half. And then all of a sudden, they coming up with 15, 20, 30 points. So, but I just got the Lynx. That's my team, to win it all this year. And I just don't see how, I don't see how they'll lose this game unless they totally fall apart. Got them sweeping that series 2-0 too. Next, we got the Phoenix, excuse me, the Phoenix Sun, the Connecticut Sun, and the Indiana Fever. Now, this is going to be a battle of experience. As of course, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston. Kelsey Mitchell's been around for a while, to her credit, but um, you got the young rookie, Caitlin Clark, the young phenom. You got the other, number one pick of the Indiana Fever in 2023, and Aaliyah Boston. And Alyssa Smith, the number two pick of the 2022 WNBA season. All these highly touted, talented young ladies, but you know, all things considered, they're still young, still developing. Uh, Unlike the Connecticut Sun, they've been there, done that. Even made a WNBA Finals recently between Wnba, Alyssa Thomas, and Brianna Jones. So I'm certainly looking for that matchup. It's going to be interesting. The Connecticut Sun has probably been the second best defensive team in the W behind the Minnesota Lynx. Because they are just, a nightmare on defense. I forget to even mention Dejanay Carrington. Like she's the primary suspect in this matchup that I see giving Caitlin Clark the flux as she did so in the opening game of the season between these two teams. Um, Dejanay Carrington was an absolute two-way star in that game. So I can see more of that. I'm pretty sure that she'll be primarily defending either Kelsey Mitchell or Caitlin Clark, whoever is hot at that time, but primarily Caitlin Clark to keep her, from getting hot. Um, Sorry, guys, I'm looking at this fantasy football stuff. But anyway, yeah, Dejanay Carrington, this whole squad, man, it's going to be scary what this Phoenix Sun can do. I mean, Phoenix Sun, the Connecticut Sun can do, because honestly, let's be 100. Um, they're one of those teams that I picked to win the championship. I got the Lynx, the Sun, and then the Aces, and then the Liberty. That's how I got it. One of these top four teams winning the championship, but the pecking order is like that, because the Connecticut Sun behind Dewana Bonner and Alyssa Thomas. Of course, Brianna Jones is a force in the paint. They can get hot at any time. But again, the Indiana Fever have been probably the hottest team, um, maybe behind the Minnesota Lynx, since the conclusion of the Olympic break. And so you never know what to expect from them. The only thing about the Indiana Fever is that their defense is very, very shaky. They tend to kind of fall apart defensively and at the end of the game and crucial parts of the game. But if they can hold it together, and keep up that high pace of scoring, I can see the Indiana Fever sneaking past the Connecticut Sun. I honestly can. They are a very lethal team. They can score at the best of them. I don't know if I have them going as far as a WNBA Finals, but I could see them sneaking past this series, in the sense of this being a one series, being an upset of a lower seed team beating a higher seed team. But, my better judgment says the Connecticut Sun will win this in three games. This one might go down to the final game, a home game in the Indiana Fever, because the playoff format in the W in these best of three series is that the first two games are played on the higher seeds court. They get the home court advantage, and then the game three is played on the lower seeds court. So interesting dynamic there. But I could definitely see the Indiana Fever pushing this to three games and getting them a victory at home. Our last matchup is the Las Vegas Aces versus the Seattle Storm. What more can we say about Asia Wilson, man? She's been dominant all season long. Perhaps put up the best individual WNBA season that we have seen in the league's 28 years of history, averaging 26.9, I think 12 rebounds. She was just a force, the unanimous MVP. I don't think anyone will argue with you for that. Um, and she's both coming into these playoffs with her same squad that she's won the previous two championships with. The core anyway, with Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and Chelsea Gray, the point guard. Now it is. We have to mention that the Aces have had a bit of an up and down season. Chelsea Gray started off injured this season, so the Aces started out kind of slow, 6-6 in their first 12 games. They only had 6 losses total last season, so it was kind of a bit of a shock to everybody that they had accumulated so many losses so early in the season. But that just goes with the championship, bumps, all of the mileage that you accumulate, and a couple championship runs. That's why it's so difficult to three-peat, because you're the one team that's playing the most basketball or whatever sport you're in. You're the one team that's going the furthest every year, and you're the one that's pushing out the most physical and mental energy in order to capture those championships. So I understand why the Aces have been, a little bit up and down this year. In addition, that we should be watching for Asia Wilson did have a bit of an ankle injury there at the end of the season. Doesn't seem like it's holding her back that much, but she did look a little shaky. And in the last few games of the season, defensively wise, anyway, she still got that jump shot. She's still doing her thing that way, but seems like her mobility has been affected a little bit. So we shall see. On the Seattle Storm side, Ezzy, I can't say her last name, McBeggar. I hope I'm saying her name. The center phenom of the Seattle Storm. She will not be available in Game 1, as she has suffered a concussion, and so we will see. Keep updates on her health issues. Seattle Storm also both the talents of the phenom Joy Lloyd, who had some health scares at the end of the season as well. She was not available the last week of the season, so we'll see how those two players who also made a WNBA Finals in 2020, and actually, funny as it is, the first uh, championship that the Aces won was over the Seattle Storm. So. Um, And these two teams have battled a few times over the years in the championship runs of the Las Vegas Aces. They battled in 2020, and they've also battled in 2022 in the semifinals. I recall that one. Aces victory in both series, of course, but I'm sure these two teams know each other very well. The Seattle Storm were able to add the talents of Nika. I don't want to butcher her last name. Nika, who's a superstar in her own right, and also Skylar Diggins Smith, one of my favorite players in the W. She's had a very breakout year. Well, I say the second half of the season, Skylar Diggins Smith has been balling, looking like a point guard out there, diamond and scoring. But I'll be frank, I just don't think and also I should mention Gabby Williams. Gabby Williams, uh, she had a phenomenal Olympic run with the Fred's team, going to the gold medal game versus the Team USA battle to the last second. Gabby Williams was very instrumental in that game. Of course, what's good, Penguin? How you doing, brother? I know it's NFL Sunday, but we happen to have some WNBA action as the playoffs start today. So I'm just trying to highlight and get the ladies their flowers real quick. You into the WNBA, Penguin? Let me know, brother. And if you are, who's your team? I'm a Chicago Sky fan, Angel Reese, all that. And, we kind of fell and flunked out at the end there, but it is what it is. But shout out to Penguin Productions. Make sure y'all swing by his page and subscribe over there. But yeah, with the Seattle Storm team, with Coach Noel Quinn, I like what they've built together, but I'll be frank, I just don't know if they've done enough, or excuse me, if they have enough firepower to match up against the Aces. The Aces are coming in, heavy hitters. They got a pretty deep squad. Got veteran presence all over the place, with their bench. So we shall see, man. It's going to be an interesting matchup, but I got the Aces coming out of this in 3 games. It's going to go down to the wire. Again, both these teams know each other very well, have had some playoff matchups over the years. So I can see it being another dogfight. But yeah, man, I just wanted to get the ladies their flowers real quick. We'll be getting tip off in about an hour here. I believe the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun will be the first matchup of the day on ESPN. So while you're watching your football, fellas, make sure you click back and forth and show the love, show some love to the ladies. I'm from Minnesota, so they'll probably eat the Lynx, but I don't like the Vikings. Okay, Penguin, respect, respect. Minnesota, that's what it really is. One of my older brother's best friends, he lived out there, man, and we went out there and visited him one time, and it was during a snowstorm. We went out there and checked them out for Christmas. Well, I think it was Thanksgiving, and yeah, it was damn near in the middle of a snowstorm, man. Y'all be getting some heavy snow out there, Penguin. But I respect that. I love the Minnesota Lynx. Maya Moore, what is still to this day my favorite female hooper. I love Nafisa Collier as well. I'm right there with you, as far as the Vikings though, Penguin, because I'm a Packers fan, man, through and through. So yeah, y'all one of those teams that always seems to get us at least one time. And I ain't gonna say y'all because you say you don't rock with the Vikings, but the Vikings are one of those teams that get us at least one time in the playoffs. I mean, excuse me, in the season, regular season. And we usually get the Vikings back by the playoffs, but yeah, they're a threat. They're looking good this season, man. To their credit with Sam Darnold. But outside of that, Penguin, I'm gonna go eat some breakfast, and then we're gonna pop back out for some football. Uh, Talk a little football this morning, this afternoon before everything starts kicking off. Try to do some fantasy football real quick. I've been meaning to do that. Get my stardom situms out there for the fantasy footballers. But shout out to Penguin once again. Swing by my bros page and subscribe to his as well. On your way out, like this video, share this video, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. Shout out to you, Penguin, man. I definitely appreciate you pulling up, brother. Appreciate everybody for pulling up, and we're gonna enjoy a long day of sports today. Also got some boxing to recap as well. As the Joshua Du Bois fight went down yesterday, that was a shocker. So at some point, I'm gonna try to recap that fight today as well. But we got some NFL Sunday football to get to. Y'all have a good day. I'll pop back out a little later. See you, Penguin. Shout out to you again, once again, brother. And peace.